These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Thursday, April 6th, the day after the Celtics took down the Toronto Raptors at home, and a couple days after they just barely lost to the Philadelphia 76ers away. But before we get into that, I did go to the Raptors game last night. And
Yes.
this is going to bleed into Rat List later, so it's kind of doubling up.
Okay.
But the Red Line is a permanent member of the Rat List. They are absolutely horrendous. The MBTA is awful. Let me rephrase.
Hey, my uncle used to drive the bus for years. You watch it, buddy.
Well, I had to take the bus last night. That'll be part of the story.
All right, there you go.
But I love the train because I think that's what makes Boston so appealing. I was talking to one of my friends like a couple months ago, and there's like he mentioned how there's only like 8 walkable cities in the US. Like only 8 cities in the US have MBT like train systems, which is crazy if you think about it, right? Because it feels like there should be a
New
lot
York. Does Los Angeles have a metro? I don't think they do.
Let me look. So
Chicago probably
US
does.
cities with metro. maybe it's excuse me, maybe it's more than 8.
Atlanta must have one.
It's only 15.
Okay.
But out of all the cities in the US, like it seems like there should be more.
15 is not as much as you would think.
It is New York City, Chicago, Washington, D.C.,
Okay.
Boston, Manhattan. So
That's
like
New York.
Hudson. No, well, there's New York City subway and there's PATH, which is Port Authority. So like there's technically 2, but like we can count it as one if you want. Philadelphia, San Francisco, Atlanta, Los Angeles Stubbs has the Metro Rail. Miami, Philadelphia, and Southern New Jersey has like
one.
I didn't either. Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey have like a separate one. So like you can count that as whatever. Staten Island is Staten Island Railway. So if you want to count that as New York, still fine. Cleveland, San Juan, and Baltimore. So like you think the ones on that's like Detroit.
Snuck San Juan in there.
Hey, the Trend Euro right there. But you think of all like the ones that don't, like none of the cities in Texas have metros, right? Those are all out.
That doesn't surprise me.
But it's like, so from that perspective, I like being able to get on the train, go wherever you need to go without a car. Very cool. However,
Agree.
They have put speed limits on the rail.
Disaster, by the way. Speed limits don't have a place, in my opinion, anywhere. Never mind the train.
Very dumb. So right now, I bet you can find it here. Speed restrictions of 10 to 25 miles per hour in place.
This is for the train car?
Yep, for in some areas on blue, orange, red, Mattapan, and green lines.
Why have they done that?
Track inspections.
Well, I mean,
track inspections.
Not great. Not great from the MBT. I'm glad my train jersey is down now. The T jersey. Horrendous. I took it down because Tatum was bad. Now it's because the train system itself is bad.
Also,
double whammy.
Red Line experiencing southbound delays of up to 10 minutes after earlier police action at JFK UMass services proceeding. That's recent. That didn't affect me last night, but this is the kicker. Shuttle buses replace Braintree branch service from JFK UMass to North Quincy from 8:45 p.m. To end of service on April 3rd through 6th for track tie replacement work. So when did I get home from the Garden last night? Past 8:45 p.m. You bet your ass it was, because it's,
what was obviously it, like noon for you when you got home?
Dude, I left the Garden at like 11:30, 11:45. Got home at
sounds like kind of an early night.
Got home. It was. I got home at 2:15.
Okay, yeah,
disaster.
Not great. I could have beat you home.
I got you probably could have. I got North Station on the Green Line easy. Got off at Park Street. Got to Park Street 17 minutes till the next Braintree train. Not Red Line's fault. Just I was like 4 minutes too late for the last one because they come every 20 minutes. Just disaster timing. Whatever. Right. Finally get on the Red Line. Get there. Get to JFK Mass. I didn't know that it was shut down from point X to point B or A to B, whatever. Pulling into JFK. They're like, first of all, it took us forever to get there. It took us maybe like 45 minutes to get from Park Street to JFK Mass, maybe more. And that for those who don't know, that's ridiculous. It should take you 20 minutes, maybe 30. Awful. Right. We get off, get on the bus. It was easy enough to get on the bus. So I guess credit them for that. Like they made it easy. The pathway you get on the bus, like they just take you there. But if you don't know, JFK to North Quincy is one stop. So what should have taken you and it's a long stop because it's like kind of around the bend.
Maybe 7 minutes.
No, it's more like 15. It's a long
Well,
one
that is
stop.
long. Yeah.
Because it's a long ways away. But what took 15 minutes took, 25 maybe with the bus. But that's not where the problem lied. We get there. It takes maybe 10 minutes for the train to get there, maybe 15 minutes for the train to get to North Quincy to get us. And then it waits for like the next 2 or 3 sets of buses to come in. So I'm just sitting on the train at North Quincy
they're trying
Station.
to load up the train.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm sitting on that train waiting to get to my destination. They're probably like wrapping up for the night. I'm
also sure you feel very safe.
Yeah, because they left all the doors open.
Middle of the night, bus stop. Yeah,
of course.
Probably good.
So I'm waiting on the train to go from North Quincy to just I park at Quincy Adams, but in general, like it goes to Braintree for 45 minutes. Just horrendous. We were there for so long. Finally get back to my car, whatever, get in, get home, 2:15. Just complete L, ratless for the red line.
Tough for the red line.
Awful. I left North TD Garden. I was talking to Bobby Koritsky, who writes for Sports Illustrated. I was like, maybe I'll be home by 1:30 today. Disaster. Just horrendous, right? I thought
that's what you get for opening your big fat mouth, idiot.
I guess so. My fault. Hand up my back.
You don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Oh man, whatever.
Well, we've been playing a ton of MLB lately.
Yes, we have.
Yes. And before we did this, Jack was playing and he achieved something great. But I was thinking to myself today, back when I was like in college, the amount of video games I would play, and you probably had this too, was like really crazy. Because I was thinking, I was good at a lot of games. Like I wasn't just good at MLB. I was good at 2K. I was good at like Friday the 13th. Like I was playing enough Friday the 13th to be good at
Friday the 13th?
That was a lot of fun.
Really?
You ever play that?
No.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. But anyways, I was like, wow, like if you're good at like more than one video game, you got to really like reevaluate. You probably have like too much time on your hands if you're like good at multiple games.
I think the real disaster comes when you play a lot of games and spend a lot of time and you're still bad, because that was me. I was still not good at the games.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, like at least I felt like I was good.
Yeah, well, but I mean, I was all right at 2K. I was fine at like other stuff, but I also played like the PC games. Like I played League of Legends, I play Valorant still, I play like all these other games, and I'm not great at them. I just play them for fun, and I think that's where the danger comes in.
Yeah, I was driving to work, and I was like, wow, like I wish I had that amount of time to be like good at a game. Just thinking about the things we would do, like when you played that game, you would like go in a game chat, and you would only hear people when you're close to them. And so, like, if you were like the killer, like I would like, play like bagpipes.
Is this like Dead by Daylight kind of?
Same concept? It's the same thing.
Okay, yes, I got you then. That makes sense.
Except the servers were terrible, but it was a lot of fun. I was playing a ton of that. Like right when I graduated from high school, which is, my God, 6 years ago. God, we're old.
We are old.
We are old.
I mean, we don't have to talk. We can keep talking about video games still, but like, God, it's weird. Yeah, I mean, might as well like.
Well, my knee hurts now, so that there is nothing that says, "Hey, you're old," then you have knee pain.
Well, we graduated college 2 years ago,
which is crazy.
2 years removed from college, 6 years removed from high school, and 4 years removed since we left school for the pandemic, right? No,
yeah.
3 years.
So I went to community college for 2 years. For those that don't know,
crazy,
it was free. They were like, "Here, just go to college for free," and I was like, "Okay, all right, cool."
You take that.
And then I went to real college for a semester, and then COVID came, and then I just paid a bunch of money to sit in front of my laptop.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not like one like to complain about like money and stuff, like taxes or like I don't really care politics at all. Like I might not be a political issue, but it is kind of wild that they were like full price for school when it was all online.
Oh, so messed
and they were like pass fail.
Right?
The best thing about school is like, I think you can attest to this too. Neither one of us really learned anything important in college.
Nah.
Like any skill that Jack and I have is something we developed ourselves for the most part.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I do think like
you went to some extra program. Hard ass.
I did. I got a master's degree too.
Yeah.
Which was like one of those classes was good. Only one of them though. It was taught by John Rook, who's like writes for the Patriots. He's a cool guy, right? And there was another one about like podcasting and stuff too that was good as well. I forget the person who taught it, but that was good. And one of the main things John Rook taught us was like talking to the people even when they're mean. Like he talked about how like people would be mean to him on Facebook and like slander his work or whatever, and he just like engaged in conversation. So I've like exactly I've like adapted that mentality, but overall like
soft.
I think there's a use for college if you're going for something like being a teacher or being a nurse or being
like
a very
if you want to be a doctor, go
but...
to college because don't want you looking at me if you don't have a degree.
Exactly, but like for more general stuff, I feel like just work experience is far more valuable. However, then you run down the issues of, you know, you can't get this job with that X amount of experience, and you can't get that experience unless you get a job. And so like the job market's also super messed up. I was obviously very fortunate that I
had a job before I even left college. It was fire.
Yeah,
I was just like at the news station. I was like, hey, I really liked interning here, and they were like, okay, you can work for us.
Yeah, I guess I never really had a real job, and this goes back to how old you are. Like, I like worked in a restaurant.
I thought about this today, actually.
About me?
Yeah, about like you've never like really had to go into an office or
because
like a professional workspace. The place the place I work now is definitely a little bit more professional. News station was a zoo. It was the best though. It ruled. Being in a zoo for work was fire. Like going at 4 a.m. and like playing clown music at 4:30 at full volume on my computer to get everyone pumped up. Oh, it was the best. But it was a zoo. It was the best.
Like I worked at a restaurant for like 2.5 years while I was in college. I worked at summer camp for like 2 years. Obviously, those were over the summer though. I did like work study in college, but then after I left college, it was COVID, so I couldn't really like. What do you fucking want me to do? And then I got a job at Fansided. And then I got a job at Heavy, and now I'm still here, and I'm hyped up. And so it's like, I just never had that experience, which is fine. It's just like, it's weird to think about. The closest thing I have is like going into the games and stuff, and like sitting up there with like, other people doing the same thing. So like, but it's not like the conventional.
It's a community.
Like,
it's a group of people you go to work. And
it is a community. Although I will say like, I went to a I don't know if I told this like on the pod or I just told it to you. I went to my like 5-year high school reunion again. Old.
Oh, I think you might have just told me this.
Up. I'll say it on the pod too. Everyone, I was not very popular in high school. It wasn't like disliked. Like there was no real like bullying.
You were just there. I was just. It was
fine. Yeah, I was like in the background, whatever. Like I had my close friends. I had people I talked to, and then like whatever. But I went to this high school reunion, and like I said, I in my class, like I had more friends like grade above me, grade below me, whatever. But in my class, I talked to like maybe 5 people regularly, right? Yeah. I went there. First thing I had when I walked in, kid comes up to me. Never, very rarely talked to him, if ever, in high school. He comes up, he goes, "Yo, I love your podcast," right? Just randomly comes up to me.
Thank you for listening.
Shout out. His name's Ozzy. Ozzy, if you're listening to this,
please listen.
Thank you.
We need it.
But it was like, it was weird talking to other people and like talking to them. I'm just like, wow, like it's weird because like all these people, like I'm asking what they do and they're working whatever, and I'm just like how the hell did I get lucky enough where I'm like, my job is to go to Celtics games. Like that's weird, right? Like that's not, it's fire.
Your job is to wake up, go through like Twitter and find stories to write, and then say click this.
It's fire.
It's pretty fire
great.
job.
So, like it's weird to think about, but it's very cool because like coming out of high school, I was a nursing major, and if I stuck with that shit, disaster.
Your heart was in the right place. You wanted to help people.
Yeah, but
right. So if you're listening and you look up to Jack and I, you've just gotten the blueprint.
I will say
everyone just looks up to the two of us.
There are days where I'm like working at home, and like obviously I'm very grateful that I get to work from home and create my own schedule. But like I do sometimes miss like having a work environment or like being able to go out and see people every day, like in college. And like, it makes me like sometimes, cause I would be like over like break in college, I would be a substitute teacher. And sometimes they're like, maybe you should just be a teacher.
You did substitute teaching?
Yeah, I did. I loved it.
Nightmare stories from that?
No, well, yeah.
You must have had some shithead kids that you had to deal with, like
I did, but
placed.
I can tell in a sec. But my point is, like, sometimes I think about like maybe I should just do that and also write for basketball and stuff, because like I did love it. Like I do like teaching. I did like that sort of thing. I thought it was really fun. So sometimes I think about that just so I can have a normal work environment. But the one story I would have, I was teaching like third grade, second grade, elementary school.
Oof. First of all, disaster before you even tell the story.
No, see, I think that might be a little too young. I think the age I would have liked teaching the most is like 4th and 5th grade, where they're old enough where they're like not completely messing
Oh
around. But they're
no,
like
I would
just
want
young
them old
enough.
enough so I could screw with them.
No.
That's what I would want.
I liked that age group. I think it was good. Although I was studying to be a secondary ed teacher because I was too late to go for elementary ed because it was like a major versus a minor. Besides the point, I was subbing in like 3rd grade or whatever, and the teacher left a note. She told me about like kids that were less well behaved than others, and there was this one kid who was just like didn't like to do whatever anybody told him, right? And so they're having reading times, so they just go sit on the carpet. They consider the desk whatever. It's quiet time. They get to read. Blah blah blah. Fine. So maybe actually now that I think about it, it might have been like I think it was 3rd grade. I think it was 3rd grade. Like they were just learning how to read. They were reading like Magic Treehouse books, like easy stuff. It's fine. Magic Treehouse books, by the way, goated, phenomenal. But they go to the carpet. This kid picks up a book, and the other kid who was warned about wanted it. Punched the kid, took the book, and I raised my voice. I'm like, "You can't do that. Give it back. Give it to him now." And I'm sitting there checking on the kid who got punched in the face. Right? Credit to that.
Nursing comes in.
Exactly. Credit to him though. Took it like
well
a
equipped.
champ. Took it like a champ. Did not cry. Was just like like made a little sad face. Didn't cry though. He was like, "I'm okay. Okay." Beast, legend. Thank you.
Well, you do have to give credit to the other kid because he wanted to learn. Like he actually wanted to read. I haven't read a book since high school.
The other kid wanted to read too. They just wanted to read the book that they had. You know what I'm saying?
But it's okay.
But I yelled.
One of them wanted it more than the other.
The the puncher, the person who punched the kid, got mad that I yelled, ran away, ran out the classroom, dipped. See you later. Grabbed her bag, left. And so I panic, right? Because I don't know the protocols. I'm a sub. What do you want me to do? Right. And keep in mind, I'm in the classroom for 3 days in a row. So I'm there back to back to back. These kids, this was my 2nd or 3rd day, I think. So they know who I am. This girl didn't like me. She starts running away. And so I panic. I go out in the hall. I start yelling, right? I'm like, come back. You can't do that. Because I can't leave a classroom full of kids unattended, but I also can't let this girl just walk out the door. You know what I'm saying? So
eventually another place for you.
Exactly. Eventually, another teacher hears me from their classroom, comes out. She helps me out. She's like, "Okay, I'll watch this. Do this." Principal comes out, helps, grabs a girl because this isn't like a me thing. This girl has been causing, problems like that. So that's the one good story I have. It eventually got resolved. They gave me an aid for the last day I was in there to watch and help. But that was a mess. I panicked. For that. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but it was definitely a mess.
They got to be old enough for me to screw with them, and then to be able to kind of get that I'm screwing with them.
Mm-hmm.
If not for that, I can't deal with it. I don't have the patience for little kids. That's for sure.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was fun. But anyways, we've
talked
enough.
Before we get into Celtics, if you're looking to get yourself tickets to a Celtics game or other event, use promo code HBTC on SeatGeek to save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Does not have to be a Celtics game. Go to a comedy show, concert, other sporting event. Treat yourself. HBTC on your first purchase, $20 off. Nice little break there between the nonsense and the Celtics talk.
There you go. I agree. But we do have plenty of Celtics talk to talk about.
Big week.
Big week.
Last week. The final week.
Yes. Yes. Last week. Last game will be Sunday. The second to last game is on the 7th, which is when you're hearing this. If you're listening to the day, listening to it the day it dropped. Yes. Happy Good Friday. Work and other things off for a lot of people.
Bring religion into this. You just excluded a bunch of people.
My point is, some people have the day off. That's my thing. I'm not a religious guy. But
I don't have. If you're listening to this, I'm probably working.
I only knew that because my mom had the day off, and I was confused as to why. But anyways, second to last game is Friday. Last game is a 1:00 game on Sunday, so keep that in mind.
Big fan. Is that the first Sunday day game they've had? I feel like they have not played a lot of Sunday.
I know they had Super Bowl Sunday was 3:30, so it's
yep, they played Memphis. Correct.
So there was that, but let's go back. Let's start with the Sixers game, work our way up to the other Raptors game we missed. Sixers game was a mess at the end, at the very least, but I know Sam said it on the pregame show, and I agree with the sentiment. Probably the best game I've watched all season. Very good game.
Yeah, we start there. That was the best game I've watched all season. The referees weren't really involved until the end. I felt like for a guy Embiid that shoots a million free throws a game, he scored a pretty legit 52 points. It was
He's a beast.
Dominant, got to his free throw line. They were afraid to foul him every single time, so they just didn't cover
Is he
him.
the MVP now, Sam?
I don't care about the MVP. They should get rid of the MVP and just make the finals MVP the MVP, or make it playoff MVP. That's really when it matters. But monster performance from Embiid.
Yes.
Celtics down Brown and Rob Williams and still nearly win the game. Really should have won that game. And this is where I start my avalanche of negativity because I really think they should have won that game. I don't think they were in a position where they should have fumbled. They went up 5 with not too much time left. Before that, Malcolm Brogdon missed 2 big free throws to put them up 2 possessions when Embiid came right back into the game. So those Sixers fans were ready.
Yeah.
They had their free chicken sandwich and they had Embiid in the game. That was kind of a maybe not a turning point because the Celtics still played some good basketball past that point, but it was definitely a chance to kind of put a damper on things and keep the momentum, and you lost it a little bit. I don't like that they didn't close that game because that is the first time the Sixers have not collapsed. This is the first time the Sixers have been able to execute against you down the stretch, and you didn't need to give them that sort of believing.
I will say, as much as there were plenty of moments and possessions where the Celtics failed, like it was an internal problem, that's something they did wrong, right? Like they couldn't find offense. Marcus Smart took a couple of ill-advised shots, a bad foul here, a missed rotation there. Like the real reason I think the Sixers were able to get back into it, obviously, I think James Harden hit a shot, Embiid hit a shot, but they had to make the decision to double Embiid so he couldn't score and force somebody else to beat them. And as much as you don't have to like him, PJ Tucker beat him, right? Like he did what he was supposed to do.
Kind of crazy.
PJ Tucker
made 3 threes in a row.
3 straight threes. It was really just a lesser of two evils at that point. And you could say, I know you were complaining that they didn't guard him on the third one, and that's a valid complaint.
I think they should have covered him after he made the first one.
I agree, but at the same time, then you're leaving Embiid on an island, which is even at that point, I'd rather
at the free throw line jumper.
I disagree. I'd rather take the chance that PJ Tucker misses that 3 because he's not been a consistent 3-point shooter.
This is what I think. Go ahead.
He has made 3 threes in a game twice this season, and that was
your ass happening against Celtics.
You know what I'm saying? So I take those odds. I don't care. That was the only game this season he's taken. He's made 3 threes twice. It was that game, and then. I mean, ironically enough, March 31st, 5 days prior, was the other one.
He's heating up. He's ready for the playoffs.
Exactly. But the point is, the odds are greater that he misses that shot than they are that Embiid misses his little jumper. And so you take those odds, and it failed for the Celtics, obviously. And the odds that he makes 3 in a row, even if they're open, I mean, what are we talking about? Especially with other people closing out.
He is in the NBA.
The pressure. I know, but he hasn't done that. He hasn't done that all season, though. Was the point.
How many times do you think he's taken enough open threes to make 3?
It doesn't matter. I still take those odds. I still take the odds of he's going to miss that shot versus Embiid making that shot because the dude had half the team's points. I cover Embiid and I take the shot.
That's
especially
true.
When you get a rotation and you can close it all. I will say at that point on the third 3, PJ Tucker did hesitate a little bit and Jason Tatum hesitated to cover him a little bit so that you can nitpick there. But I don't disagree with the decision to leave PJ and double Embiid because Embiid was that dominant that game. And at that point, you kind of live with the results, and obviously you can make adjustments in the playoffs because that's a different beast. But in this situation, in this game, with Embiid that hot, and let's be clear, Embiid's not going to average 50 in the playoffs.
No.
That's just not going to happen. I like the math and the ideology of double Embiid, let PJ Tucker beat you, and it just in that spot he just beat you. It's kind of like what the Celtics did to Trae Young when they faced the Hawks a couple years ago. It backfired in their face. Sometimes, and even then it's different because it's Embiid versus Trae Young. Let's be honest here, but I didn't have a problem with that.
I wanted to say
it just sucks.
They got to that point mostly led in that fourth quarter, right?
They did.
They were in control of the game. They were in control of the game because they stuck with their game plan throughout the game to kind of let Embiid be the guy and nobody else score.
Sure, kind of.
I mean, that's usually kind of the option you get when you face a force like that, whether it's Giannis, Embiid, anybody else that's a monster. You either die by that guy or you shut him down and let everybody else have to beat you. Celtics went make him beat you and don't let anybody else score, fine. Stick with it because it got you there. They did a really good job. And even though
I understand
he was really efficient. What was he? 20 of 25. Excellent game from Embiid.
12 of 17 on jumpers.
It was a game you really should have won. I mean, you were there because you stuck to that game plan. And people said Tatum was bad. Box score says he was bad. 7 of 20 from the field, whatever. There was a stretch in that third quarter where Embiid was not missing and Tatum was going toe-to-toe with him. Tatum was there for the important stretches of that game. He didn't get much of an opportunity down the stretch. He didn't touch the ball very much. Neither did Derek White. They should have been better there, and they should have got better looks on offense down the stretch to execute. Again, don't love when they're not executing down the stretch. I really don't care who's on the floor for them, because when the playoffs come around, I don't think you're blowing everybody out. The Celtics have been really good in games where they've blown people out, because when they're blowing people out, they're shooting the lights out. When they're not shooting the lights out, the Celtics have been kind of average, and it's not good.
I mean, you say that, but game 6 and 7 in Milwaukee, they did stomp them last year.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not saying that's gonna. I know
that's why they didn't win a title
every game. Sure, I'm just saying, like, I also don't think they've been like, they fumble in close games a lot, but they also like win a fair amount of them.
Let's go through the playoffs last year. Okay, so game 1 against Brooklyn is close. They win. Good job.
Yeah.
Game 2 against Brooklyn, they trail most of it, go on a massive run. It's not close at the end. They win.
Mm-hmm.
Game 3 is not close. Game 4 is not close. The series is swept. Okay. Milwaukee. Game 1, they get their doors blown off at home. Game 2, they blow the doors off Milwaukee. Game 3 is close in Milwaukee. They lose. Game 4 is a come from behind, and they win pretty handily from what I remember. I don't know what the final is. If you want to look it up and correct me, go ahead. But I'm pretty sure it was a comfortable win in the end, even though they had to fight hard to win that game. Game 5, they're up most of the game, don't execute well in the fourth quarter, and lose a close one.
They won by 8 in game 4.
Okay, so it was kind of comfortable, but it was teetering. It was teetering. And 6 and 7 were blowouts. Game 1 in Miami, I believe they lost by like 10. Game 2 is a blowout. Game 3, they lose a close one after being down the whole game, and they almost come back. Game 4, blow them out. Game 5, blow them out. Game 6, lose a close one. Game 7 ends up being close, but they were up, and they did everything they possibly could to lose that game.
But they won a close one. You can't sit here and say they don't win close games and then put an asterisk on the close game they win. It doesn't have to be pretty, but they won the close game.
I mean, the game really wasn't close. They made it close because they were terrible.
The 4-point win.
It was not a bet. They didn't win that game because they executed down the stretch. That's my point.
Sure.
They were up 11 points with 2.5 minutes to go. I almost had a heart attack in my living room because they couldn't execute. My point is, I don't want to watch this again in the playoffs. I want to see them be able to handle it when the game gets close, because you're going to have series this year. They're going to be close. It feels that way.
I will say, I do think this team is better equipped to handle those games.
I hope so.
And you could sit there and say, like, oh, it's pretty much the same team. Malcolm Brogdon being on the team is a massive difference. Huge. Derek White has had more time to get comfortable with the team. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown now have that experience in the playoffs. They have, an extra year under the belt, and you can say, oh, it doesn't matter. They're still young. They're still growing. Like, that's another year. I think this team will be more ready in the playoffs. And there's going to be times where they fumble. That's just like, that's who this team has been. As much as you don't want it to be the case or how frustrating it is, like, it's been like that for years, right? It sucks, and you wish they could fix it, but they haven't yet. And so there are going to be games like that where they fumble, and maybe they lose one of them. But from what they've shown, especially since the trio of double-digit blown losses to the Cavs, Knicks, Nets, not in that order, they've done better at staying in close games and coming back and fighting in those games.
Utah,
at least in my opinion, Utah game we're going to talk about in a little bit, but that Houston. Raptors game got closer than it should have been yesterday. There's that. Are you saying games they lost?
No, those were close games they lost.
Sure, but at the same time, Toronto yesterday got close. They won it, right?
It got close, but it wasn't close. It got close because they were bad down the stretch.
It got close, and then
don't get mad at me. They were bad in the fourth quarter.
They did. Their offense slowed down, and they still found a way to win. Sam, for the entirety of that double-digit losing stretch, you talked to me about how when I came back and said other teams are going to make runs, you said, well, I wish, like, even when they made runs, the Celtics responded. Celtics responded.
Good. Brogdon was excellent.
Exactly.
It shouldn't have to get to that point. You're playing against
that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Teams are going to make runs. Shit happens. The Celtics are going to go cold, right? Stuff happens in the NBA. It's about how you respond.
We can't act like it's like the greatest.
I'm not saying it's the greatest. I'm just saying they managed to win the game, and that's what you need to do in the playoffs. Shit happens. Joe Mazzulla, I need to find this quote because it was a good quote, and I think it.
I'm not ripping him either. I just think the players need to be better down the stretch. I really do. I don't think it's on him necessarily.
Joe Mazzulla said something along the lines of, I didn't end up using it in this article, but I found it. Something along the lines of like, anything can happen in the playoffs. Sometimes stuff's not going to go your way. Sometimes you go cold, right? Sometimes the other team gets hot or whatever. Pascal Siakam just started making mid-range shots over everybody, right? Whatever. Stuff happens. You got to find a way to respond. And even when things don't go your way, it's important to be able to do that in the playoffs. And I think over the course of X amount of games, right, they've been able to do that. You said the Utah game they lost. I'll look at the Utah game they won. Utah made a run. Utah was fighting a little bit, and they shut them down. They shut down the run. They said, okay, no, Blake Griffin's energy. There's that. Boom, bing, bang, boom, whatever. They win the game. Toronto, right? Toronto makes a little run. Celtics go cold. What do? They respond. They get some buckets on the stretch. Mike Muscala hits a 3. They find a way to win the game. You look across the season, and there are those ugly losses. And a lot of the wins they have are these blowout wins where they just blow the doors off them. Fine. But they have won closer games.
They've won close games. The 2 games they beat the Lakers were both close that they had to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they really
look at the prior Philly game. Look at the prior Philly game.
That's
Jason
another
Tatum.
one.
That's another good one right there.
Yep.
Right. And I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not going to sit here. Excuse me. The Lakers game earlier in the season, they won that no T. It was a mess. I'm not saying it wasn't a mess. It was a disaster, but they found a way to win. The Golden State overtime game, right? It was a mess, right? They fell apart a little bit, and they found a way to win, right? Excuse me. I'm not saying the Celtics team is perfect. They're far from perfect. But I think they have shown progress at winning when things aren't perfect. And again, they're still not as good as they probably should be. But that progress, I think, is slowly building momentum heading into the playoffs, right? You look at their last, how many games is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're 8-3 in their last 11 games, right? Like they've played well.
Good.
And I think that momentum and experienced the Minnesota game, another game they lost. They won that got close and they found a way to win. I just think this team is much better equipped heading into the playoffs than last year, even though the team looks similar to what it did last year. You think of all the differences, the Malcolm Brogdon, the Derek White having an extra year. I feel better heading into the playoffs. I just think the difference is last year's team didn't really have as many expectations, and this year's team does. And so that's why you're seeing.
I was thinking about that today. I agree.
Yeah.
I am excited for the first time they have to prove themselves in the playoffs. Because if they tackle that moment and they do a great job, then I think people are going to really start to believe. For me, last year, it was when they came back against the Nets in that game 2.
Sure.
Because game 1, they were up big, almost lost it, and they did great on the final play, didn't call a timeout. Tatum makes the layup, they win. Game 2, they go down. It was going as bad as it could possibly go. They come back from 17 and win handily. That was awesome. That ruled. That was great. And then they took care of business the rest of the series. It felt like, okay, these guys came to play and they're ready. So I'm excited for that first impact moment. I'm not convinced you're going to get it in the opening round. Maybe you do. I kind of hope you don't have to get it in the opening round unless it's like just murdering whoever's in your way, which would be real cool. I would actually really appreciate that if they did that for me.
Yes.
But it's going to come when you play a Philly. Well, not a Philly, because that's who's supposedly going to be there in the second round if it all goes.
Unless they lose
to or
Brooklyn. They're not going to lose to Brooklyn. I will say I do hope Miami surpasses Brooklyn, gets 6, and has to play Philly because right now Philly's getting stomped by Miami.
Yeah, you know what's the best is when Philly loses to everybody but the Celtics.
They're down 23 to Miami right now.
Are they playing anybody though?
Embiid is playing, Harden is playing, everyone's playing.
It's funny, Embiid plays this game, but he doesn't play against Jokic.
He's 9 of 13, 21 points.
That rest of that team is something else, that Philly team. They really have to rely on Embiid, which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
And Harden made a 3 in the fourth quarter, and I said to my dad, I was like, wow, like, what did he shoot for the first time in the whole half?
Hey, I give Embiid credit, though. That was...
Embiid
I know you hate the neutral, but like that was
I don't hate Embiid.
Dominant. That was dominant.
I like Embiid.
Performance from Embiid. Yes.
No, it was great. It was a great game. I enjoyed watching it. I'm not thrilled the Celtics lost it. I don't like the way they lost it. I don't like that they didn't execute against Philly. It showed a little bit of mental weakness against a team that you've dominated, but I mean, they almost pulled it at the end. If that Tatum shot drops, we could be having a different conversation. Or if he passed to Derek White like everyone begged him to, and for some miracle there was enough time for it all to work.
Yeah, that I don't like that argument. I will say though, Derek White was absolutely fouled on that 3-point attempt. Don't get it.
I just don't know I don't know what a foul is, what's not a foul now.
I don't. My thing is like,
because if it was my way, that wouldn't be a foul.
He got hit on the arm.
Did he already? Was the ball gone?
It was as he was shooting. He was like finishing his motion. He got hit. I'll show you.
I think once that ball's out of your hand, I mean, if they kill you, like, yeah, it's a foul. But like,
it's not about what you want, though. It's about what they call. It's not about what you think. It's about what the rule is, and that was a foul by the rule, by what they play.
Well, I'm trying to be true to myself first, and then we can go to the NBA rules. But seriously, I don't know what a foul is anymore.
Sure.
On a 3, I think they need to clearly define it, and I think I have the best rule.
You think
I don't care about the stupid landing space because you have guys falling all over the place. By the way, I know I've said it before. I think is part of the reason you see guys missing so many games because they're falling all over the place all the time now. All right, here we go.
Let's take a look.
If you're listening, we are pulling up the replay. Al Horford is about to pass the ball out. The video is buffering.
It's because it doesn't like when I go.
Here it goes. Screen. White. I don't know.
In the middle of the shot, he grabs him. He hits the shooting arm too. Let me look for on Twitter because Twitter has a better.
Okay.
Derek, what do you think?
I mean,
with it.
To me, the jump shot fouls are a very fine line.
Sure.
I really don't think they should be fouls. A lot of them.
No, I know what you're saying.
I think that's it. Go back up. Here it is.
This is it, but I wanted a different angle.
Okay.
I wanted the angle like from above the basket, and I'm wondering if this will give it to me. Because like, I just think it was a foul, and I'll look at the 2-minute report too. But like,
no, if you think it's a foul, you think it's a foul, and they looked at it.
That's why I was more frustrated because not only do I think it was a foul, but they called a foul, and then I don't understand how they had enough evidence to go back and say, okay, just kidding, it wasn't a foul.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
I guess, but like
Tatum's shot didn't go.
They probably would have taken a similar shot, but I think you have a very different ballgame because like I don't know. That play just annoyed me, and videos decided.
I get it. The annoying part is they did call the foul, and then they went back and overturned the foul, which is why I'm saying what is actually a foul.
Sure.
This is not because the Celtics lost. I truly don't think that ended up mattering. The thing that matters is they got the rebound and made the 3 first.
Agree.
That's what actually mattered. Okay, is this it?
Yeah.
Can you make it full screen for me, please?
Yeah, it might buffer though.
That's fine. I'm not worried.
See, he gets him on the arm, right? And
he already let go of the ball.
You don't have to think it's a foul, but they've been calling that all season. They call it Steph Curry all the time. They call it against.
This is what I'm going to say.
They call it all the time. You don't have to agree with it, but that is consistent with what they call a foul in the NBA.
They need to make a defined, separate foul rule for jump shots. It might sound crazy. It might. He exaggerates there too.
Of course he does. Of course he flails. Like he does. But it was
may be just Sam's a hater. Sam's an old man. Sam doesn't like the jump shot fouls. They really need to make some sort of definitive rule. What's a foul? Because I do agree, if you're shooting a jumper and somebody hits your shooting arm while you're shooting, it's going to throw you off and you're probably not going to make the shot. But with that being said, ticky-tack stuff cannot be called on jump shots unless it's affecting your shot, like on your shooting.
I will say the worst.
I don't care if your hand's on the guy's hip. It's not
the
foul.
Worst thing is the Trae Young. I'm gonna stop here and let you run into the back of me. That's rat. Like that's garbage.
Well, the worst thing is Harden falling.
I agree.
Trying to jump into people. I don't like that. Mm-hmm. That's in no other. Did you watch any March Madness, Jack?
Briefly, a little.
Did they do it? Did you see anyone do it? No. You know why? Because it's not a basketball play. Nobody in the world does that except the NBA. It's the only league in the world guys fall down on jump shots. It doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you go play pickup, nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
It's not basketball. It's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to see the what's it called? The 2-minute report. I don't see it in here for some reason.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know. I don't.
Refgate.
Yeah. What am I?
At the end of the day, this doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. I was just curious.
It truly had nothing to do with the game, but it is interesting that they would overturn a call like that. That they made the call.
Yeah. Replay view foul. Colin Tucker pursuing coaches. Colin Floor was overturned. PJ Tucker. Derek. Yeah. It says correct. No call. It doesn't give a description. It just said replay review. Pursuant to a coach's challenge was deemed successful. Which like that doesn't explain why. You just
I personally think if the ball's gone, ticky tack goes away.
Sure.
That's how it should be. If you hammer him, fine.
Anyways,
if you go flying into him, fine. If he's shooting a jumper and you ticky tack him, it's not a foul.
I do think there's also room for the landing space foul, but that one's just really hard, right? Because
the landing space one, Zaza can rot because he ruined the game.
Well, you understand why though,
because you have to understand. You have to be like, well, this is legit gripe, but at the same time, like in my opinion, it's so naturally rare. It's never actually happening.
I agree. I don't think the issue is the rule. I think the issue is the players who expose the rule by jumping so far forward. But at the same time, some players' jump shots just take them forward. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's an impossible situation. Like Jason Tatum jumps forward in his jump shot. He just does.
Well, then what's
tough.
The rule?
Exactly. That's a tough one.
This is why I hate football, by the way. Because they don't even know what a catch is.
Our point. That is true. Anyways, Sixers game was a good game. We'll leave it at that. We can talk a little Raptors game, even though I don't really know what there is much to think
We talked a little bit. Brogdon ruled. Brogdon was great off the bench, 29 points. You didn't have Tatum, didn't have Smart, didn't have Al Horford. You still beat the Raptors, which is somewhat impressive. It's not the greatest because they did control the game and then didn't.
Sure. Excuse me. Sorry. Raptors, not great this year, but it was like Celtics were sitting guys and the Raptors were very clearly trying, right? Like they played all their guys.
Yeah, the Raptors had something to play for. So that makes it impressive to me.
Exactly. And Raptors did not impress me. They did not look very good. Their offense was a mess. Their defense wasn't as good as I thought it should be. And in reality, I know the Celtics blew it, but like they were also missing a lot of shots early. Like that game probably should have been blown out of the water a lot earlier than it was. Derek White was missing some easy looks. Sam Hauser missed a lot of shots he probably could have made. So I'm not saying it's an excuse for going cold. And like I said, like a while ago, like Celtics are going to go cold sometimes. It just happens. That's what happens when you're missing, Al Horford, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart. Like sometimes guys get cold and that's why you have that extra depth. But, and the Raptors responded too well. Achua made a big three. They're making some hustle plays. Siakam got hot in the fourth, but the Celtics responded. Muscala hit a big three. They closed it out down the stretch, which was huge. I will say this goes in line with the Raptors game. I don't love let's just throw Muscala in the starting lineup. Why not? Like, we're getting to playoff time. Can we just stick to a rotation, please? Like,
that's why they're doing it.
Grant. Why? What do you mean?
Grant's not starting in the playoffs. He's literally not. So
then why do you start against Philly?
The structure.
Then why start against Philly?
Because they cared about that game and they wanted to win.
I just don't love why not start Blake Griffin then? Because I bet he plays over Muscala in the playoffs.
That's fair.
I just don't love the flip-floppy big man rotation. And we talked about this a few.
Don't get mad at him. Rob's not healthy, or he hasn't been healthy.
Not even that, but like have a go-to when someone's
healthy.
hurt. Have a go-to when someone's hurt. Don't say, okay, we'll use this for this and we'll use this for this, because that's when guys don't know what's going on. That's when guys are confused with their playing time. That's when guys are not, at the top of the game when it's time for them to play. And credit Blake Griffin for always being ready. Like, shout out to him. But like, I just don't understand it. Like, it just doesn't. I didn't love it. And Muscala was fine. He wasn't great on defense. Yikes.
He's whatever.
He's getting cooked. But I don't know. I'd rather have them just let Grant start or let Blake Griffin start, because those are the guys that are probably going to get minutes over Muscala in the playoffs, I would hope. Just a minor.
Blake one, I think Blake should be the fill-in starter.
Yes.
Because I actually am a big fan of keeping the rotations the same. Like I actually like that. I think it makes sense. I liked when Brad Stevens used to do it. I always just thought it was a logical thing to do when you have guys trying to adjust to coming off the bench. That's why I think you're going to end up being right for the playoffs, Jack, where they're going to start Derek White, because Derek White has had to start so many games this season that it wouldn't make a ton of sense at this point to slide him back to the bench. Not only because he's so used to starting at this point, but he really hasn't been as great off the bench. Mm-hmm. But when he starts, he's really good, maybe the third best guy on the team. And he's put together some clutch performances for you. Philly, he was great. Milwaukee, when they had nobody playing,
good against Toronto.
Really
He wasn't super efficient from 3, but he had a solid game. Like he stepped up when he needed to.
Yeah, I think Derek White is going to be your difference maker in the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because thinking back to last year, you weren't getting a whole lot from Derek White in the playoffs. Because he wasn't consistent yet, and he wasn't comfortable.
And that's my thing. I don't think I blame him for that, just because he didn't really know what his role was. And I think being able to start all season and hopefully starting in the playoffs has made him more comfortable and ready to roll with this team, which is good. I really hope Joe doesn't go back to the double bigs in the playoffs. I really hope he doesn't.
With that being said, though, I really hope Marcus starts playing well again.
Yeah. Not great
Marcus
against
Smart's
Philly.
My favorite player, and he really has been great in the second half of the season.
He made that highlight play against Philly with the rebound thing, but he really wasn't great in that game.
No, he wasn't.
Down the stretch, he was
really
a big
been
problem.
himself. He hasn't been impacting the game the same way. He hasn't been pinging the ball around like he was last season. One of the great things about Marcus Smart at the beginning of the season is he was putting up double-doubles. He was finding guys. He was making wizard-like passes. He was doing crazy stuff with the ball. Now you're seeing less of him with the ball, it feels like. When he's out there, it doesn't feel like he's facilitating as much. When he's being used, he's being asked to catch and shoot or catch and drive. He's not being the primary ball handler. Is that a good thing? I don't know, because is his mindset right now to be the facilitator, or is it to be a catch and shoot guy? What are they asking him to do? I don't know. You don't know. You don't know what they're asking him to do. That maybe that's a good question if you end up going tomorrow. Ask him that. Because it's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've seen the same thing where he's not being asked to facilitate as much?
And I think not blaming these other guys.
He's still like handling the ball. You think he's running the offense still?
I do think he is, but I don't think it's as clean as earlier in the season, because
I was just curious because my eyes might be wrong.
I just think it's natural because Derek White and Brogdon have been that good, right? They're going to have the ball in their hands more.
But it's not even that. Great. It's a lot of Tatum. It's a lot of Brown.
It's a lot of Tatum. It's a lot of Brown, and I disagree with that. But I think Smart getting hurt and not being there for a little bit, and then Jaylen, I don't know. I think it's a lot of the injuries thing and that thought process of, okay, we have to be the guy who's carried over a little too much. And
there's nothing wrong with it. The guy's hurt. You have to step up.
Exactly.
This is one point I think it may be on Joe, because I would like to see Marcus handle the ball.
I agree.
When he's put in position to be the point guard, to be the facilitator, he's been at his best. When you ask him to have limited importance on the offensive end, importance is not the word, limited control in the offensive end, it gets difficult for him. I don't think it's a selfishness thing. I just think he's not as strong of a player when he's being asked to catch and shoot. Well, people have been crying about that for years.
I was going to say, it goes back to the whole time he was, his entire time in Boston up to last season. There was always a point guard in front of him. There was Isaiah, there was Terry Rozier for that brief season, or in the playoff stretch. I mean, there was Kyrie, then there was Kemba, and it's he's always been the shooting guard. And you saw last season how he can be the best as a point guard. And I mean, at the beginning of the season, we were talking, putting him in the conversation, averaging 7 assists and less than 2 turnovers, and it's phenomenal. And it might not have been sustainable because the Celtics have so many guys capable of handling the ball. The difference of you look at Mike Conley on that Utah team, he was their ball handler. You look at Chris Paul on that Phoenix team, he is their ball handler, right? And then there was one other guy, I think, but Tyrese Halliburton was another one, even though he's a high turnover. He's gonna have the ball in his hands. You have so many. What'd you say?
Trae
Young, perfect, yeah. But you have so many other guys on the roster capable of handling the ball that just naturally it's not always going to be Marcus. And I think you saw that as the season has gone on, because at the start of the season, when everything was all happy-go-lucky, nothing going wrong, it's fine. They were okay with it because everything was fine. As they started losing some of those tough games, I feel like some of that hero ball mentality sort of creeped back in, and just naturally Marcus just didn't have the ball as much, which I'm not saying I agree with it, because I do agree with you. He's at his best when he has the ball in his hands.
Do you think there's a correlation there?
What do you mean?
I mean, they were kind of nasty when he had the ball in his hands more.
No, that's definitely part of it. And I do think they need to get back to giving him the ball all the time, but I also
just by the way, I think is on both parties. I'm not blaming. I think Marcus hasn't been as good, but I do think his opportunities are being limited. Now it's a catch-22 because you can't give him all the opportunities if he's not doing anything with it, and he's not efficient. He's not being smart.
I will also say, as much as you just want to play the best way at all times, playoff basketball is often give the best player the ball, right? That's just naturally how it is, right? Embiid's always going to have the ball. So Giannis is always going to have the ball, right? Jimmy Butler's always going to have the ball. So naturally, Tatum and Brown will probably often have the ball. But I do think, or hope, I should say, the Celtics sort of shift back once everybody's healthy again. let Smart or even Derek White, whatever, handle the ball, get those guys shots in their spots. And I guess we'll see. And I mean, Marcus Smart, give him some credit. I don't know the stats. It feels like he's been shooting pretty well this season overall.
I think he's shot okay. I'm about to look right now, so I can
better than usual. I will say. I think he's
on
probably
the season
around
he shot
33%.
33.6. Now that's not the whole chunk, but
it's better though than years past. Like last year, it was 331, 330. So it's his best in 3 years. So it's around what he's at.
In the playoffs last year, he averaged 6 assists. So
there you go. Yeah, and I mean
nothing crazy.
To give him his credit as well, he shot better from 3 in the playoffs in years past too. Shot 35% last year, 37 the year prior. So we'll see what happens. I do think he's probably not going to handle the ball as much as a lot of at least you and me would like. But
I just think the Celtics team has the most potential when he's playing well, and for him to play well, I think that's the role he needs to fill. Now, that doesn't mean they can't be good without that happening, but I just think that's an important piece to your puzzle. He proved that last season in the playoffs, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's really tough not to see him being able to have that opportunity as, you know, a fanboy or whatever.
I know what you're saying. No, I agree. I agree.
My guy, man, I hate seeing him not be the best.
Not be as effective. Do you want to talk about playoff matchups now, or do you want to wait until we know for sure who they're playing after the play-in?
Do you have like odds on it? Not like betting odds, like percentages. Do you know?
Off the top of my head, no, but I mean, I could look at it and tell you really quick.
Let me look. I'll look at the standings.
Well, I have it up. Then the Heat are likely going to stay in that 7th spot. It would take a weird thing for the Nets to fall down there, but the Celtics, in all likelihood, are going to play the Heat or the Hawks, and then the Nets would probably be, and they could play the Raptors or the Nets too, but right now it's looking like Heat or Hawks.
Brooklyn has the tiebreaker.
Yes, so it's very unlikely Miami moves up, and at the same time, I'm pretty sure the excuse me, I think the Hawks have the tiebreaker over Toronto too, so Toronto would have to fully pass them in the standings, which is possible, but it would be like Atlanta would have to lose out, Toronto would have to win out. Okay. Excuse me. So, also shout out to the Hawks, 2 games above 500 finally.
Hey, there you go.
Some slow caps.
Just at the right time. Just in time for them to play the Celtics.
3 in a row for them. Wow. The top 8 seeds in the East are all on winning streaks. At least one win. That's weird. I was just looking.
Winning streaks.
Well, at least one win. And 9 through 15 are all L's, right? So like, it's just random, but weird. And the top
of the West
are all lost.
They're just all losing.
Anyways, it's looking like.
How about the Lakers? By the way,
yeah,
you only got 10 million notifications yesterday. LeBron and Anthony Davis questionable. LeBron and Anthony Davis going to play. Big shock in a game that was essentially going to decide the play-in.
Then they lost.
And they lost pretty handily. They lost by 8 in the end, but the game was not that close.
I was watching it on the red line when I got home. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, that hurts me.
I'm going to say something. This is not going to be a shock, Sam. I would rather play the Hawks than
Miami
almost anybody.
So,
shocker. Miami beat Philly. So Miami got no, they're fighting for 16.
They've beaten Philly.
I joined Celtics Lab podcast today, so go check that out after you listen to this. I said this. I would rather face Atlanta than Brooklyn. I'd rather face Atlanta than Miami. I'd rather face Atlanta than Toronto. I'd rather face Atlanta than Chicago. I'd rather face Atlanta than Orlando. I'd rather face Atlanta than Indiana. I'd rather face Atlanta than Washington. Atlanta sucks.
Atlanta's not very good against Celtics.
They don't scare me in the slightest. I think they have nobody on the roster who can guard Jason Tatum, let alone Jaylen Brown. They have Marcus Smart, Derek White, and Malcolm Brogdon to throw at Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, right? They have Robert Williams vertical spacing to get into the paint. They have Al Horford spacing to, clear out Clint Capella if they need to, clear out the paint on that end. They strike no fear in my heart. I would rather face 3 teams that aren't even in the play-in race. I would rather face Atlanta than them. It's just so clear to me. Now, do I think Atlanta will beat Miami in that first game? No, I don't. I think the Celtics will probably end up facing Miami. However, if I had to choose, it's Atlanta, not close.
That Miami team, by the way, is not very good.
They're also not good, but I'm just saying, like,
this is more for the listeners and not for you.
Yes, I will. Like, I'll rephrase. I don't think the Celtics should or even will have any trouble with the first round. Like, I think at worst it could go to 6. At worst it could go to 6, and 6 would be a bad series for them.
6
right?
a lot.
Exactly. However, even though I don't think the Celtics should have trouble with any of those teams, it's still Atlanta by a mile as the team I would most face.
I agree.
Atlanta
Celtics have
strikes
murdered
no
Atlanta
fear in my heart. They've won 4 games in a row, Atlanta. Before that, they did lose 3 in a row, which is a bit weird. However,
ever since they got Derek White, they stopped screwing around.
Exactly. Agree. But yeah, Atlanta, not close.
That's fine. I'll take Atlanta. I'd gladly take that.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't want to have to deal with Spoelstra. I really don't think Spoelstra is the best to have Missoula go up against in his first ever playoff series.
Sure.
So, my opinion.
To rank it, I'd rather face it. Atlanta is my most preferred opponent, and we can include, Nets and Raptors in this too, because there's a small chance. Next up would probably be the Nets. I'd probably rather face the Nets next. I don't really care that they came back. They just don't scare me at all.
Okay.
They're just not. I don't think they're built for the playoffs right now. After that, I'd rather face the Raptors, and then Heat is the least favorite. But again, to be clear, I think the Celtics shouldn't beat the Heat.
I don't think that Raptors team is very good.
I don't think so either, but I think they're more annoying than the Nets. I'll put it that way.
I mean, Nick Nurse is there, so yeah.
Yeah, and I just think their physicality would take a larger toll on the Celtics than those other teams. Not that they'd lose.
Nick Nurse, who is real sad, by the way.
Why is this?
He doesn't want to be there anymore. He's going to go coach.
Did he say
Rockets.
that? Yeah, have fun with the Rockets.
He needs to take some time away from the team after the season. That's what he said.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure I saw that. Put fake news in the comments if I'm wrong. I hope I'm not.
See you later, Nick Nurse.
See you later. Get out of the division. Rat. Annoying.
Well, you know who's rumored to be going up there next?
Is Ime, who was at the Lakers game yesterday.
He was Lakers Clippers. I think that was his first public appearance.
Very handsome still. Whoa, Sam, be careful.
I'll give you that. I think that's all I got. We can talk about it very briefly. I don't really have. Well, before that, I don't really have much to say about it. Shout out Jaylen Brown winning the Red Auerbach Award.
Oh, yes, I did want to talk about this, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, it was a cool moment. Jaylen Brown won the Red Auerbach Award. The only funny thing is it felt like they were like, please stay, Jaylen, don't leave. Even though there's still a year left. But I do think it was a fair selection for the award. Actually, when Palladino was saying the introduction to the award, I thought he was going to give it to Missoula because he said player or coach. So I thought Missoula was
really? Yeah. That's funny. He was very gracious after the game. He was very appreciative of it.
Well, that's what's great about Jaylen is he wants to be here. And I think that over the last, since everyone's been saying, oh my God, I can't wait till he leaves.
Yeah.
He's not come out and said that he's going to stay. Instead, he has decided to show people he wants to be here.
Which good. Perk is seething.
Yeah, I don't know about Perk. Perk's sneaky on the rat list.
Oh,
I want to like Perk a lot, but he makes it real hard. We've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, you said break those guys up once, didn't go well, and then you try to take credit for the team turning around. Then you're trying it again now. Why? They just went to the finals, and they should have won the finals, and it's not on those guys that they lost. It's on the team as a whole. Because they shot a bunch of threes at the end of game 4. By the way, watched playoff highlights from last year. Can't believe that they didn't win the championship today. I was watching it. I was like, it got to the finals.
Why do you do that to yourselves?
Because I like watching the playoff highlights, especially home games. But I just was like, I really can't believe they didn't win a championship last year.
Yeah.
They should have won game 4. I'm done. But yes, back to Perk.
Shout out.
Leave us alone.
We're done with Jaylen. Shout out Jaylen. That was
shout out to Jaylen. He's been excellent, by the way. Ever since he put the mask on, he's been great.
He accepted the award in the mask, by the way.
Yep.
Very funny. Love to see it. But all right, I just wanted to give him that credit.
Start selling masks at the games. It's not official, but
that would be cool.
Something they would do.
Blake Griffin won too. He wanted to wear it when Thanasis headbutted him. Also, I will say this was a couple weeks ago. Why didn't Blake win the Tommy Award, and why did Brogdon win it? Hear me out.
I don't know.
No problem with it. Brogdon's been great this season. Shout out to him. But I just feel like that was Blake's award. Maybe I'm crazy.
I didn't even think of it like that, to be honest.
Am I wrong though?
I think you make a very compelling point. Every time Blake's been on the floor, he's probably averaged more Tommy points than anybody.
It goes back to the old Tommy points per minute versus total Tommy points. It's tough.
He was nasty. I mean, he plays super hard. If there's anything about Blake Griffin, it is that he works real hard when he's on the floor. He's always diving. He's playing good defense. He had a big stop in Embiid in that Philly game. He was like the only guy that got a stop.
swipe,
the whole
right?
game. You got to swipe down on Embiid.
Speaking of totals versus averages, as much as I do disagree with some stuff Perk says, Scal says, like Tatum should
I kind of
absolutely
think
be the
Scal's
scoring
right
champ.
about that.
Tatum should absolutely be the
That's
scoring
how
champ.
and
It's
Gorman
bogus.
said it along with him.
Football.
It's literally every other sport is the total.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to cry, then you know what you should do is play more games, and then you'll win.
Agree. All right. Time for the rat list.
Yeah, you go first. You were or is the red line yours? Do you have anything?
The red
else?
line was one of them, but I do have another one if we want to start with it.
You go ahead. I've got a couple ready.
Excuse me. Sorry. It's another driving one. So I get home. It's continuation of the red line story. I get to my car. I leave. It's 2:15 a.m. The only solace I have is that there's nobody on the roads, right? I'm going to be hyped. I'm getting out, get out of the garage, ready to merge into the next highway. Car pulls out in front of me. And the next
That's
highway,
a disaster.
On the on-ramp, getting onto the highway, going maybe 40 miles an hour. So I'm already annoyed that the red line took, excuse me for that. I'm already annoyed that the red line took 3 hours for me to get home. It took me 3 hours to get from the garden to home. I'm ready to go home. 20-minute drive takes me 25-30 minutes because this person wastes 5 to 10 minutes of my time because they're driving slow. I was so mad.
I agree.
If you're going under the miles an hour, under the speed limit on a normal road, rat list
should be death penalty. You don't have to finish. I say death.
No. There's secondary. It gets worse. Going under the speed limit on a normal road, rat list. If you're going under the speed limit on the highway where I can't get in front of you, banish.
Wait, on the highway, you should absolutely be able to go around them. Why can't you go around them on the highway?
Because I was merging. So we had to go to the same place. And so it's like,
yeah, but how long are you merging for?
Maybe I'm exaggerating with 5 to 10 minutes, but like, it's weird because I'm merging into the same place, so I have to go behind them. And then we're getting onto another highway, so we have to merge again. So the 2 lanes that we just got into after the first merge turn into one again. So I can't really go around them in the 2 seconds.
I say normal road's worse than the highway because oftentimes you can't pass them.
Sure, but in this specific highway scenario,
it doesn't sound like you had a lot of time to pass.
So I didn't.
I guess
it was made worse because it was 2:15 a.m. and I wanted to go home. And why are you on the road? Like, there's nobody else on the road. Get out.
When I was in college, I took a creative writing class and I wrote a mock script for like a dialogue of people I'm driving, friends next to me, and we let somebody in front of us. And the whole joke of the script was it takes a lot of trust to allow somebody to go out in front of you when you're driving because that person could like ruin your whole day.
Agree. All right. What you got for rat list, Sam?
First rat list, Dr. Joe Biden invites the losing team to the White House. Yeah, everyone and their mother has talked about this, but it's kind of weird and it pissed off the winning team. So it's really
it was dumb. It was especially because like Iowa.
Shannon Sharp said she's racist.
Iowa came out and was like, "No, we're not going to do that. Like LSU deserves it." And then LSU was like,
"Now we're not going."
Yeah, like
now you get neither one of us.
I don't blame LSU for being mad because like
I kind of don't blame either side on that.
You don't invite the losing team. Like
that's just
Celtics,
weird.
Celtics
that's like,
didn't go to the White
I don't
House.
Watch sports.
Yeah, it was rat list. It was.
Do you have anything else? I have a couple more.
No, I just agree on that. And maybe Shannon Sharp probably not far off. Like it's probably not a coincidence.
No, it's not the best look. I actually think that's not the worst point. I kind of joke and poo-poo a lot of like people like saying racist,
but like in this scenario, like Angel Reese
it looks racist.
Also, we should do opposite of rat list too. Angel Reese has handled all the shit phenomenal. She's amazing on Twitter. She's funny, like amazing. Love Angel Reese. She came out and said like if we lost, we wouldn't get invited to the White House, which facts. No shot they would have gotten invited to the White House. So
I also think I guess we'll talk about this a little bit more. The whole classless / competitive thing.
Dumb.
Well, it is dumb, but the reason why I think it was even a conversation is because I think you got a lot of people watching those games or that game, I guess. It was
game, of course.
That don't typically watch sports.
Yeah, and I wonder who those types of people are.
The sheer oh my God, Sam, you got it, brother. Go ahead. The sheer hype behind Caitlin Clark's semifinal performance brought a lot of people in to watch that game.
Agree.
probably don't watch sports. They're probably like, this is awesome. Like, people actually care about women's basketball. I'm going to watch. And they never watch sports. And then they saw that and they were like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that.
Hey, it brought out the bad side in people. I'll say that.
Well, people are just idiots.
Anyways, next rat list.
Next rat list is
Sam's
this is
in
so bad.
Tim
Hardaway. Tim Hardaway rat list.
Yes. Senior, you mean, right?
Tim Hardaway Senior rat list.
Okay, good.
Because he went on national TV yesterday and said, hey, my son's teammates suck. Ahead of their game against the Kings.
Do you see Tim Hardaway Jr. came out and said that I just don't agree with that?
He said it couldn't be like less true or whatever.
Yeah.
But Tim Hardaway Sr. was like, Kyrie and Luka are not leaders, and Kyrie and Luka don't play defense, which Kyrie's probably not a leader, and he doesn't play defense, and Luka doesn't play defense. But I think Luka might be trying to be a leader, at least trying. So you have to give him a little bit of credit, but the rat list has nothing to do with those two. It's literally making your son uncomfortable. It's kind of a prick move. Just to get yourself a little bit of spotlight. You're in the Hall of Fame. Call it a day. You don't need to make your kid's day as he fights for a roster spot, essentially, after this season. I think his contract's up. He's going to have to sign somewhere else.
No, I think he has one more.
Oh, well, even better. He's stuck with those two guys, or at least one of them, for another year. And he gets to deal with that uncomfortableness. Well, good for him. He cleared it up after. Also,
this is random, but for those who disagree, if you watched a pregame show against the Raptors, we talked about Blake Griffin's Hall of Fame case. Tim Hardaway Jr., all-rookie team, 5-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Star, Hall of Fame. Blake Griffin.
Tim Hardaway Sr.
Senior, that's what I mean. Blake Griffin, identical resume. 6-time All-Star, more All-Stars, 5-time All-NBA, same.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame's a joke.
Same. Rookie of the Year. Didn't have that, Tim Hardaway. And Tim Hardaway got in, so keep that in mind. Anyways, continue. Sorry. Even though I will say Tim Hardaway partially got in because he was part of that Warriors thing with Run DMC. So, anyways,
I think third rat list, of course, has to be the Lakers. They took up all of the national spotlight all day yesterday. I was on the treadmill at the gym, or bike rather, in the morning, and they had a countdown to the Lakers-Clippers game all day. And then you had, again, everybody saying, will they, won't they play? And then they just get pieced anyway. It doesn't matter. So
rat list to the people at the gym?
No, the rat list is the Lakers.
Oh, okay, fair. Sure.
For just like using the fishing pole to reel everyone along. Will AD
shout out,
will LeBron play?
Shout out Bones Island for packing up the Lakers in the fourth, though, Beast.
Lakers are lame as hell. I hope they don't make the actual playoffs. The league is going to do everything in their power. What games do we have on tonight, Jack? Do you have a scoreboard in front of you?
Let me take a look real quick.
I am curious because these Western Conference standings are very interesting. You have the Clippers in fifth, tied with the Warriors, who are in sixth.
All right, I got you.
You then have the Lakers and Pelicans, 7-8, also tied. Timberwolves, 12.5 at 9. And Thunder 10th, 14.5, tied with the 11th place Dallas Mavericks.
Mm-hmm. Miami beat Philly, Cleveland beat Orlando. That's fine. Portland, San Antonio right now. I know. I'm just going to Portland, San Antonio. Doesn't matter. OKC currently beating Utah.
Okay, that's a big one.
Big for them. Mm-hmm.
This would be the nail in the coffin for Utah, actually.
Yeah.
However, if Utah won, that would be something.
And then Denver, Phoenix, which is just kind of a good game. I don't really know how much impact they'll have because I'm pretty sure Nuggets, have one locked away. And the Suns, I don't think they can be caught either way. I think the Suns are locked in at 4.
Yeah, Denver does have the number 1.
And Suns are locked in at 4, I think, too.
Oh, actually, no. If Denver loses all 3 of their games, they could probably fall.
Well, do the Grizzlies have more than 2 games left, though?
Grizzlies have 2 games left, but they're 2.5 back. So if Denver loses tonight, they'll be 2 back.
Well, who has the tiebreaker, though?
It must be Memphis because I don't see a Z next to Denver. If you go to the East, you see E next to the Bucks because they clinched the whole conference.
No, Nuggets have beat Memphis 3 out of 4 times.
Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. Just disregard me.
I was like, what?
I'm just talking nonsense.
Is that it for the rat list for you? Is that all you got?
Yeah, I'm kind of out of stuff. I don't have anything great.
Alrighty, well that's good. We've done an hour 10. We had 20 minutes of nonsense to start. Landon's gonna be hyped. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it very, very much. check us out on YouTube and subscribe there. Help us get it back to 300 subs. We would appreciate it. Leave a rating and leave a review on Apple.
Sad ask.
We got to get back. Leave a rating on Spotify. Hit the 3 dots. Leave us 5 stars. If you're not going to leave us 5 stars, go be mean to us in the YouTube comments. Write a review on Apple Podcasts and leave 5 stars there as well. And yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening or watching. Like Jack said, if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to us. Get us up to 300. I'm not going to say back up because it's sad as hell.
Back to 300.
Some people are just mean to us. Like the video, leave a comment. Tell us we're handsome or be mean to us. I really don't care. But if you're going to be mean in the comments. If you're listening on a streaming service, make sure you follow us there. Leave us a nice 5-star review and carry on about your day after you enjoy the pod. On top of that, you can find us on socials at How About Them C's, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Facebook is just the name of the podcast. If you're on Facebook, I just set it up before we started, actually, so it renews our streaming on Facebook to our Facebook page. Jack will have to do it for the Heavy Celtics page because you can find us there as well. Before every single Celtics game, we try and keep it fun for a half hour. We talk to you in the chat. We put up with nonsense. If you want more of Jack, you can follow him on Twitter at JackSimoneNBA. He's doing a lot of good work at Celtics blog. He has a big piece in the works. It'll probably come out around the playoffs, so be on the lookout for that. He's been working on it for a while. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA on Twitter, so you can see me pressure the Celtics to have Pete Rogers make the jersey. That's it for us.
Tic-tac-toe.